So Like a Dragon Ishin came out recently, and it's a remake of the original Yakuza Ishin, and it's set in the samurai era of Japan. I do have quite a bit of experience with the Yakuza series. I've played pretty much every game that I could get my hands on that is localized and on PC, so I've played quite a lot of the games and I do have a lot of experience. So yeah, here's my thoughts from the perspective of a Yakuza fan. The story of the game is pretty engaging throughout. It will have all the characters from all the previous Yakuza games who you will know and love, and it's kind of like the Fire Emblem Engage of Yakuza. It will have characters from a whole bunch of old games, like Yakuza 3, 4, 5, 6, some even 2. It's a very big fan service game, but despite that, the plot can be pretty engaging. But even so, it's not as engaging as games like Yakuza 0 or 7, but it definitely is pretty good, and it picks up a lot in the last few chapters. Now, a thing to note is that I did encounter quite a few bugs while playing the game, but they were mostly visual and didn't really affect the gameplay at all, and I assume these will be fixed in the next few days. Now let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is pretty similar to a lot of other Yakuza games, but there is one huge change that isn't in the Yakuza games in the form of trooper cards. Now when this was announced as a thing, because it was normally in the original game, only used for these battle dungeon mini-games. When it's shown in the overworld and then you could use it against bosses and in the actual main story, it received a lot of criticisms. However, this mechanic is very fun and enjoyable to use actually, and it's especially useful on the higher difficulties. I played the game on Legend, and I was having a pretty difficult time. I would have had a lot harder time if I didn't use the cards, so I'm pretty grateful to have them, and they're also quite a lot of fun to use. The actual combat itself is pretty good. It's not my favourite combat, but I do definitely like it a lot. Unlike Yakuza 0, Kiwami, and the Judgment games, the styles aren't really that unique. The styles are pretty much just a brawler style, a sword and gun style, and a gun style. Now because swords and guns in the old games were really OP, they had to change them because they were the main weapons you were going to use throughout the entire game. They had to change them so they don't stagger you as much. However, this can be quite annoying, because a lot of the time when I try to hit an enemy, they take pretty much no stagger, and a lot of times I would just be hitting them and they would stand there and just be able to hit me back despite me being the one hitting them, so I'd be getting punished for no reason, and that is especially annoying on the higher difficulties where you take a whole lot of damage. The main style that I enjoyed using a lot, and that a lot of people enjoy using, is the Wild Dancer style. It's a lot of fun to use, especially when it's upgraded, because you can spam X infinitely and the damage will keep on increasing depending on your combo count, and you pretty much just turn into a giant killing machine. This style is also very fun and fast paced to use, and it's also really strong, but I would also use the swordsman style for bosses because it was more of a single target and the blocking was really good. Despite a few complaints about the combat and the story, the main thing that I enjoyed in this game was the side content, and if you know anything about Yakuza, you know how damn good the side content is. This game is no exception, and by that I mean it's probably my favourite side content in any Yakuza game. Even though it doesn't have as much side content as, let's say, Yakuza 5 or Lost Judgment, the side content that is there is really fun. You've got karaoke, dancing, chicken racing, there's like 10 different forms of gambling, cooking, fishing. Instead of batting, you bat a fucking cannonball with your sword. There's woodcutting, there's a roguelike dungeon crawling combat minigame where the dungeons are better designed than Soul Hackers 2, and it's a fucking Yakuza game. There's a whole bunch of side quests, a whole bunch of friendship quests, and then you can do a drinking game, you can do rock, paper, scissors, and there's even a fucking bullet hell, and the objective is to get laid. Yes, a bullet hell to get laid. Who comes up with these things? And there's so much to talk about that I can't really talk about it unless you've played the game yourself. To me, this game is a 9 out of 10. It's not my favourite Yakuza, but it's definitely up there for sure.